Hello. Welcome back to the second video of the order, in which case we'll see how this works. We'll see how this one goes. This one is going to be the basic one I usually do, Spurs based video. We'll be going over my opinions of Spurs at the moment and where I think Spurs will finish this season. Where I think they'll end up. And basically the international break catch-up. So we should start off by saying where Spurs are in the league, where they are in their group. I believe Spurs are top of the Europa League group with 6 points in 3 games, alongside I think Lask has 6 points and Antwerp has 6 points. So it's also up for grabs in that. Spurs should clearly get through. We still have 2 home games against 2 weaker opposition. I mean, they're all weak opposition, but it's 2 weaker opposition. Yeah, I expect us to get through that quite comfortably. We also in the league we are in 2nd place, behind by 1 point to Leicester City. We're tied on points with Liverpool, but our goal difference is the best in the league, and that keeps us in 2nd. During this 4-match period in the Premier League, we won 3, beating Burnley 1-0, beating Brighton 2-1, and beating West Brom 1-0. We only dropped points versus West Ham at 3-3, in which case is probably the game in which, if you watched it, Spurs were cruising for about 75-80 minutes and then capitulated in the final 10-15 and drew 3-3 from being 3-0 up going to the 82 minutes. That's the only real bit. I think a big talking point about Spurs now is because going to last international break, we're talking about doing one of the most exciting attacking teams in Europe. You had a great partnership of Son and Kane. Yeah, and since then, I believe Son hasn't scored in the last 2 games. I don't think he hasn't even had assists in the last 2 games. Harry Kane continuing to do what Harry Kane does. I think he's a goal contribution every match bar Everton. And considering the fact, in 8 games into the season, he has 7 goals and 8 assists. He's on track to being back to his best, and he seems to be. I'm not going to count Europa League goals and shit, because why would I count a competition that I don't rate highly? I mean, I do rate. I rate when you get to those final couple competitions, when you get into the quarterfinals, when you get into stuff like that. But at the moment, I don't care. I expect us to win every game. I hope that the players who don't start every match can do something. So yeah, let's talk about Spurs. So Spurs are in an interesting position because I think the hype has died from Spurs for a lot of people, but for me, I'm actually more confident in Spurs based off this period. We in theory should have won all 4 games. Actually, I think Burnley was the only game where we weren't the better team, but I don't think Burnley were better. I think that was a draw in the making. And Burnley are pretty shit this year. That could be your conversation. West Brom are shit this year. That could be your conversation. Brighton are an overrated pile of shit. So in theory, Spurs had a very, really easy period, and Spurs got kind of what you would expect. You would expect them to probably get 11 points out of, right? Not 11 points, 10 points out of 12. You would expect that, but you would also probably expect more goals. But I will say, I think Spurs have actually been really, really good defensively during this period. Bar West, even versus West Ham, I thought we only really gave away 2 good chances. A header that I think Fornals missed, and then you had the Balbuena header, which was a good header and the first goal. Then you had the Sanchez own goal he gave up, and then you had the shot from outside the box that is the goal of the season from Lanzini. That makes, and bar that, they didn't really create much. I mean, I don't really think the Lanzini shot is a chance, and that's probably something that, yeah, that's not a chance. The own goal could be a chance, I guess. It's hard to blame him, I think, for that. But yeah, attacking football has gone down. Spurs are playing a more gritty game. They're going back to how they were in Restart, where it was a slower paced team, a team that, but a lot of stronger foundation, and you just allowed your best players to excel. your best attacking players to excel. And from what we've seen, it's working. Spurs got those 3 wins in those matches. I think Spurs should have had 3 clean sheets. The Brighton goal was bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. That was the only chance they created the entire game, and that was if a Lamptey foul. I mean, not Lamptey. They fouled on Højbjerg. I think someone fouled Højbjerg, and then Lamptey got the ball in the side of the box and scored a beautiful goal. To be fair, but yeah, they don't offer. Like Spurs have been very good defensively, and that's probably something I'm really excited to see. I actually I'm in a weird mindset because I think that what we're seeing here is we're seeing a mixture of things. I think number one, Jose's scared of what happened in the West Ham game, that we'll capitulate at the end of the match and get fucked up and lose points when we were ahead. But I also think he's preparing us to play like this because the next period of games is really, really tough and is probably going to decide our season consistently. I think we're guaranteed top 4 space. I'm just not impressed by a ton of teams. Leicester can look as good as they want at the moment, but Brendan Rodgers, which means they will fall apart by the end of the season. That's just what happens with him. You have Wolves. Wolves will finish 7th because that's the new position. Arsenal are awful, dog shit. Like I had been saying. You also have who's the other team? United. United are struggling, and I don't think they're gonna sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anytime really soon, which I think is fine. It's good. It keeps everybody happy. Keeps us happy. Means they're not gonna get top 4 probably. And then there's Chelsea, and Chelsea have gone on form, but I think they're kind of what Spurs had. But I think the difference is when things start to go wrong for them, which it will, because no team goes through a season just ripping every team apart and being the best team in every match and looking fantastic. There are games that you won't deserve to win. There are games that you will deserve to win, that you don't get points in. I think at the moment Spurs are quite equal on that because I think the Newcastle game we got robbed. I mean, I guess in theory it's. I mean, it's difficult to call what the West game was. I mean, Spurs have only dropped points in 4 matches. I mean, that doesn't mean much, right? Wait, have we? No, we've dropped points in 3 games. Yeah, whatever. That doesn't matter. I do think that I think that Spurs are in a really good position going into this international break. We have a team that's starting to take shape. I think we have a starting 11 that's very, very good. I think it's missing a couple pieces, and we're going to talk about those pieces it's missing. I'm talking about some rumors that have been floating around. They don't really have much to talk about the form. I think that we might look uninspiring, but I think every game we mainly play, we're the better team, which we should be. I mean, that's the main goal. We're the better team. We create more chances, and we just limit chances, and we don't go crazy in the attack. And I'm quite confident in us. And I mean, we'll talk about the next. I mean, let me pull up our form. We play City next, which in recent years we do kind of just roll them over. We don't roll them over. We just, even if we don't turn up, we get points. Chelsea, it's not an easy game. Crystal Palace, not easy game, but I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't be stunned if we won City and Chelsea and then lost to Palace. It feels very, very much like what Spurs do. Liverpool, that's always going to be tough, and then Leicester. And, I mean, to finish off the month, you have Wolves and Fulham, so basically Fulham and Palace are our only games that aren't teams that will probably finish in the top 8 or top 9. That is our only matches in that period. They won't finish, I guess, top half, but I do kind of think Arsenal will finish below both Leicester and Wolves. But yeah, so I guess we should talk about the team. The way the team structure is looking, we're still playing that 4-2-3-1, which I think is fine. We have a player in Ndombele who's not a 10, but he's slowly getting better in it, and he's improving, getting used to playing in that position. which is good, which is what you need. The next, I think the interesting part, if you break down that team, right, you have the trident of Kane, Son, and Bale. That's a fucking fantastic front three. We all know that. You have a midfield of Dembele in the hole, with hopefully Lo Celso will take over from him. Not because Dembele's a bad player, just because Lo Celso is a fucking phenomenal player who I think is heavily underrated by a lot of people. I think he makes this team tick, and without him, I think we struggle in a lot of aspects of our season. Oh god, why is it lagging? Whoa. Okay, that should not happen. It should not be laggy. Anti-flicker. Is this good? Okay, that should not have happened. What was that about? Yeah, the midfield. And then you have the double pivot of Højbjerg and Sissoko, which I do want to put some praise on Sissoko, because I think he's going under the radar, because Højbjerg's been fucking fantastic for Spurs. Sissoko has been not equal, that's just good, we're going too far, but he's been a very good player. And to be fair, I didn't think he would be the one claiming that spot, because I think that spot was really up for grabs for basically any player in the team. I do have a feeling that it could be Lo Celso claiming that spot. I wouldn't be stunned if, when he's fully fit, if Jose tried to put him in the double pivot just to fit him into the team because of how much he offers. I would not be stunned by that. But you look at, but Sissoko's been doing his job well. He's defending well. He's moving the ball decently. His passing is actually quite improved based on this season. And it might just be because he's actually paired alongside someone who's not a complete idiot. And Højbjerg, who, just a little touch on him, he's been our second best player this season, quite clearly. I think even when Son was scoring crazy, Højbjerg still was our second best player. I don't think Son's been our man of a match in any game we've played in the Prem this season. And for me personally, I'd probably have to give it to Kane and Son. I mean, Kane and Højbjerg between those two. And in that double pivot, I will point out, I think this Sissoko position will probably look to strengthen in January or in summer. One of these next two windows will probably sign someone. The only rumor that I had seen was the Camavinga rumor, which would be quite expensive. But to be fair, it could easily happen. He's 18 years old. If you sell Dele Alli, which is pretty likely, considering he's not getting any game time, you sell him. And the rumor that Winks is looking for a move now because he wants consistent game time, so that he could actually get a starting position for England. Yeah, I think I would not be stunned if we saw one of those move in January. Mostly Dele move in January for around you probably 35 to 50 million for him. I don't think he's that shit where you get less than 35. And you get that much, and you're probably 20-30 million off from paying Camavinga's price, and I wouldn't be stunned if Levy says, well, he's a young talent, prospect, he walks into our team if Jose wants him, and yeah, we go get him, we go get Camavinga. And that improves your starting 11, he's a young talent, he's everything you want. I think he's a phenomenal player. I honestly think he could do anything, and I think him, Lo Celso, and Dembele can rotate in those two positions, and it was just Sissoko being the fourth choice, and you have a fantastic pairing. I think you can even develop Camavinga into a Højbjerg understudy and get him to develop like Højbjerg. It'll come down to that. I do think Oliver Skip, when he comes back, will be, if we don't sign someone, he would be the double pivot guy. I would not be stunned because he's defending fantastically for Norwich and probably been their player of the season so far. He's consistently getting almost every game like really good ratings, and their fans are loving him. He's doing really well there, and I think he'll probably come back to Spurs and do bits, and that would be the hope. What next about that team? The back lines, I think the back line's settled. I think at the moment with Reguilon, Doherty on the fullbacks, at the center back had Dyer and Toby, and of course you have the recent goal. I think the defense is the most interesting part because I think on paper it doesn't look very good. It's a really, really weird backline because I think there's a lot of holes in it. I don't think any player is perfect yet. I don't think I have one player I look and say, wow, I would not. Actually, I wouldn't change about one of them, maybe two. One of them is kind of stunning me. The other one is too early to say, and that one guy would be Reguilon. It's too early to say for him, but he's looking like a very good player. His defending is quite decent. He just has some problems transitioning the ball. He has some bad habits in that aspect. Yeah, his crossing is good. He can do on both feet. He just offers a different weapon to teams to deal with. Yeah. I think Doherty. I think Doherty's actually been quite undervalued by Spurs fans, I would say, because he's interesting. Because when you signed him, he was the second most creative fullback in the Prem over the last 2 years. He scored a fuck ton of goals. He just seemed to be that attacking goal player. What we expect Reguilon to kind of be. Instead, what we've gotten is a fucking fantastic defensive right back. He defends actually really, really well. He intercepts well. He reads the play well. He doesn't lose many headers considering his height and his head size. I mean, he just seems to be able to win those headers consistently as a fullback. He's just a really good defensive fullback that does not know how to use the ball, which we could expect it to come slowly. I do think he's learning his position and he needs to learn the balance. And I would not be stunned if we saw in a couple of years him settle down and be a fantastic starting 11 player for us. Center backs is always a position I think that is most interesting. Since Vertonghen and Alderweireld have dropped off since basically his last season, the positions have just been up for grabs for anybody. At the moment, it's Toby and Dyer, and I would say this by next international break, we'll probably have someone else alongside Dyer. I think Toby's been fantastic as usual. He does seem a little bit slow, but other than that, he is our most technical center back. He's fantastic in that aspect. I wouldn't really replace him in any way. I think he's a great player. And that's why Eric Dyer is going under the radar by a lot of other opposing fans. He's actually a really good center back, which is... It's hard to say if it's surprising or what, because he's doing really, really well, I think. Like, he's probably our best center back on a consistent basis. Every game he turns up, mainly. I don't think he's had a bad Premier League game since Sheffield. Actually, I don't think it's I think it's one bad Premier League match, like a below 6, like 6 to 6.5 rating since restart. And so what? That was 9. Restart was 9 games, right? Restart was 9 games, and this is 8, so 17 matches. So almost half a season of football. He's only had one bad match, and he's had a couple man of the match performances. I think he had 2 early on in restart, and I think the last match versus West Brom, you can make an argument that him or Kane were the man of the match. I mean, I think I went Kane just because I think Kane was... Actually, you know what? Dyer should be, because Dyer was consistently fantastic in that match. Kane missed the sitter. But yeah, I think that he's been a fantastic center back for us so far, and if he keeps developing, I wouldn't be stunned if we talk about him. I don't think it will ever be in discussions for one of the best center backs in the Prem, because I think there'll be the stigma against him that this is Eric Dyer. He can't be one of the best center backs in the Prem. I do think that will hold up against him just because of his name. It's similar to if you've been a player that wasn't shining at all times, pretty much. People just kind of write you off and say, he can't get to that level. I kind of make the argument of Hoiberg at the moment is that some people, I mean, he's getting a lot of praise, mainly by Spurs fans. Occasionally, these other people do it, but he's just been a fantastic player. He's been world class since he's joined, and if he continues this form, he will be. He will be the best. I'd make an argument he's in the top 2 or 3 DMs in the world if he continues to play at this level for the rest of the season. I would like to hear conversations against it, but he definitely would be top 5, considering I think he's probably the best DM in the Prem already. Considering form, going off form, not off like past ability. Because past ability, you got Conte, you got Fabinho, you got Fernandinho, you got Partey who should be in there. I'm missing someone. No, I'm not missing. I mean, I guess Ndidi, but he can't pass the ball. And yeah, like there's those problems. Yeah, and center back wise, I do think the club will probably look to sign center back, and all the rumors are center back is our main priority. And I think one center back's on his way out, and that's Sanchez, which I think is a little bit sad because I think he's a fantastic center back that just maybe not fantastic. The problem with him is he hasn't improved over the years, and that's a huge problem for a player that's trying to nail a starting position. You need to improve because as the club improves, you will stand still, and people will move around you and get past you. I expect this to probably go in for Skriniar. We are heavily linked to Milikovic from Florentina, whatever the fuck it's called, Florentina. Who was the Skriniar replacement? I think we'll get one of the two. It's an interesting conversation point which one you would actually prefer, because Skriniar is the more finished article, but he's also 3 years older, which is why he's more finished article. But I also do think both of them potentially could be world class. I think Skriniar was close to world class before Conte showed up, and Conte put him in a 3-back system where he just struggles in. If he was still playing in that 4-back system, I think we'd probably talk about as being a world-class center back. I think that Sanchez could leave in January. I wouldn't be stunned if some team offers 40 million for him because they have a center back crisis in the Prem and they're trying to push on. And I wouldn't be surprised if Everton had been linked with him, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know who would sign him. I'm trying to think. Manchester United could. They might just go off FIFA and say he's one of the most played center backs and just go and get him. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, but I expect him to be gone in a year. This is probably his final season at Spurs. And Skriniar could be the replacement, who is a fantastic center back, and Milikovic is a 22-year-old center back who's fucking massive, and he just wins every aerial duel. He is that talent that will probably be world class or be top 10 in about 2-3 years. He needs to get into a better team really and perform the level he's been performing at. And yeah, I think that's. I guess I'll give this. It's from by the time we Spurs play the next match, it will be the 1-year anniversary of Jose. So I'm gonna actually just give my 1-year report on it. Probably give him an 8.5 out of 10. I think us getting top 6 last season, considering the situation of how many injuries problems we had, I actually think I don't think it's fantastic. I think it was a good job considering how awful we were when he came in. And I think this season we've been fantastic. We're 8 games into the Prem. We have 5 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Yeah, I think we defended well. I think we were joint the best defense in the league with 9 goals conceded in 8 games. In the second best attack in the league with 19 goals in 8 games. We do play the tough period, and I actually think we're better versus the bigger teams because when they create space for us, when you have Bale and Son running into space and Kane be able to ping some balls around, because at the moment we've not been able to do that because teams have been sitting back and defending. Now, if City are going to defend against us, then it could be difficult, but they won't. And I think we'll actually surprise some people and do really well in this period for Spurs. We'll lose some games. I'm not going to act like we won't lose matches. We'll lose some matches and people will criticize us. But yeah, I'm going to say I'm done for today. See you guys, and tomorrow will be the tier list. And if I'm at it, there's a good chance you might see some more videos come after that. I'll see if I like what I could do.